it's MJ from TV. How are you? I just felt like doing a quick little live share and talking about the art of choosing as conscious creators. I'm an author. I have a book called The Fearless Life Guide, which is really based on my own 20-year spiritual awakening and transformation, and over 10 years as a professional yoga teacher, meditation teacher, and transformational coach. So that's a piece about Alta Love and myself. And there's also a series of online courses, there's merchandise, and it's really coming from an empathic perspective, a very compassionate perspective for a more harmonious and loving world. So the art of choosing is ultimately a craft, something that we can craft within ourselves. And this is where all the meditation, mindfulness stuff comes in real handy, because I'm realizing more and more and more that the art of choosing is a very subtle thing that's only ever happening in the present moment. In the present moment, we have power, we have choice. And oftentimes, and this is why in the Fearless Life Guide, early on in the book, I address emotional patterns. We often are in a very materialistic world where, the old paradigm is very much a perception of separation. And that doesn't give us much choice, because it seems as though everything is outside of us and all of these random things are happening. But if we start to pay attention, not necessarily to what we're doing as such, but the emotional connection we have to the things that we do, that people we interact with, blah, 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 blah. Once we start looking at the emotional pattern, then we can start choosing differently. And then in my experience, having unraveled quite a few of my own control patterns, what we would say as like dysfunctional patterning, stuff like that, life gets better and better, and then you have more choice, and then you have more choice. So really the idea that we don't have a choice in any moment is an illusion, and it's an illusion of our own creation. And that's where people talk, and I talk about it in the book as well, about a karmic backlog, that we're often basing our reactivity in the past. And so once we can come to grips with the fact that our emotional reactivity is accumulative, then we can start kind of unraveling and consciously choosing, wait, is this the truth right now? Is this really what I need to do? And in my experience, normally we repeat the patterns a few times, which is a lovely little ego boost. Right? We're all in these patterns within patterns. If you look at the cosmos, if you look at the solar system, there's spirals, right? We talk about the spiral dynamic as a more cohesive perspective of life rather than a linearity perspective. And yet the linear perspective has its uses as well. But as we evolve, we want to be able to kind of broaden our perspective and take into context the fact that we're all these little mini solar systems, and we all have our little karmic loops. We have our karmic patterns. And for a lot of us in this community, it would appear like these last year, especially the last 2 years, has been a pretty dynamic closure of karmic relationships, karmic patterns, old stories, and now we are consciously choosing something better, something more loving, something more harmonious, something more abundant. And there again, it's from that heart-based perspective, and this is very much the approaching Leo new moon, and the energies that we're all grappling with is very much about our own personal transformation, our ability to stand in our inherent truth, which has to do with authenticity and honesty and emotional clarity and emotional intelligence. Again, it's very interesting how it's like, don't judge a book by its cover. It's never what it looks like necessarily, and it certainly isn't our first initial reaction. Oftentimes we need to hold space for that, and then uncover some of those deeper impulses within us. Because in truth, we are the God source. In truth, we are all that we see and all that we perceive, right? And typically, again, that's part of why I believe anyway, called to create this channel and called to write the book, was that we, as a species, and certainly from our old programming and old paradigm perspective, we often do deflect. We want to blame. That's part of what we're probably more and more of us are acknowledging within the current climate of the globe, is that as soon as something uncomfortable we feel, we want to point a finger, we want to put it outside of self. So that's part of addressing these deeper uncomfortable emotions and going, you know, whether it's mine or other, it doesn't matter, but I can choose differently. I can choose. And again, it's not about like even getting rid of the emotion. It's simply about rearranging our perception, i.e., our relationship with the emotion, rather than trying to get rid of it. Master, I shall control my emotions. Or be more flexible, adaptable in the present moment, so that when those emotions come up, whether they're high vibration or low vibration, and whatever your perspective is, you can hold space for it and have like mental stuff going on to help you feel better about whatever you're feeling. And oftentimes, sometimes we can just choose like, right, okay, so right now I feel weird and confused. One thing we can do, this is a little technique from Bentinho Massara, but you can just say, I'm choosing to be confused, or I'm choosing this feeling right now, and that's okay, right? So our ownership of our emotions is so bloody monumental, isn't it? Indeed, non-judgment, non-attachment, down to earth, dad, hello, 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 and divine side, how are you? There again, these expressions, and I'm finding always wanting to go deeper into the words we use. Indeed, non-judgment, non-attachment. I feel like I wrote an article years ago, and it was something like, judge nothing, accept everything. So when we're in a state of non-judgment, we're essentially detached, because we're not judging any polarity as right or wrong or good or bad. So non-judgment is that more neutral place, and in truth, if we're in that place of non-judgment, we're not attached, and we're not we're not attached to an outcome, right? So we're in this space of absolute unconditional acceptance, right? And that unconditional acceptance, more closer to the God source, i.e., that infinite loving container of the the expansive polarity of the expression that we are. We are able to there again, it is space of infinite possibility. Thank you. So like, when we're in that more open space, there we have access to, thank you, to down to earth, to that infinite possibility space, which isn't attached to blaming the external world, and is only interested in harmonizing that inner reality to continue to expand out into our conscious choosing, which there again, in this community, we're choosing more love, more harmony, more compassion, bliss, and understanding, and just abundance. It's so funny sometimes. I catch myself in these moments going, is that not the world? What, is there a world where people are being harsh to each other and super harsh to the animals? And, hey Chance, how are you, my friend? So it still, sometimes it loops around and boggles me. And at the same time, however, and that's making me think how exciting it is to be at this vibrational standpoint where the truth is this evolution. The truth is this greater harmony. The truth is this greater human paradigm shift that is happening. As much as we're choosing it, it's happening to us as well. That we come into a greater knowing of that truth that we are, that expression. And I would say the only piece is that it's truly anchored in the heart space, so that it is in service to the good of all. And that's that kind of big paradox of liberation, that we let go of the idea of saving the world. The world has already been saved. In just the fact that we imagine it or perceive it or think, wait a minute, couldn't there be a better way? Huzzah! There already is. We are it. Simply through the vibrating of the greater love and compassion and empathy is one and the same as the awakening of the whole. There's no separation, right? So it has to be this way. And then we talk about astrology, and we look at where the Earth is transiting in our galactic in the solar system, right? And we see that we're coming into this galactic center, and that we're coming into alignment with some of the bigger stars further afield in our universe, and that these alignments are ultimately ushering in the idea of the recycling of a golden age, so that these higher bass tones, these higher energy, the higher consciousness, right? It's just suddenly us going, oh yeah, now we remember. We have a choice. We can choose to be divine creators, or we can choose to be slaves, or we can choose to be manipulators, or we can choose whatever it is that we're choosing. And yet the continual evolution for us is that when we're choosing something that feels awful, that feels guilty, that feels bad, that da 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 da, then of course that choosing is what we're perpetuating, right? Versus, wait a minute, can I choose something different? Because technically there's always space, there's infinite space, there's infinite possibility, except when we're bound to our patterns, right? When we're bound unconsciously to those patterns, oftentimes we don't think there is a choice. And there is always a choice. If even, like, again, where I'm coming from in the Fearless Life Guide, if even to endeavor to just feel it all and own it all completely. Like so many of us as empaths, I feel we've been in those darkest moments of going, I don't want to be, like that, that deep pain. And in that moment, that's a choice to go, I see this pain, I see this suffering, and I endeavor to face it down. I endeavor to feel it all completely. My goodness, if I could feel all the pain and suffering in the world, bring it, bring it. And yet then we know that we want to ride out those emotional storms to be greater channels of clarity, greater channels of love and divine guidance, right? Certainly when that's our intention, to bring about that light, to bring about that God force ultimately. Okay, so mega hot love vibrashe. Again, you guys, it's super nice to be a bit more on the flow again, and having the office space is inspiring me to, get back into the regular shares. Of course, I'm doing the live share tomorrow morning. I think I did about 3 different live share crew this week. So if you're wanting to join the live share crew, feel free to check it out on the online events page on All to Love, or just message me. You can join the live share crew for as little as £5.55 a month, and then we chat and noodle and do all that stuff in the live share crew. And it's about mid-month, so I'm going to start doing the September monthly readings. And for those of you who have booked intuitive readings, holla, thank you so much. I will be sitting with the cards likely sometime today or tomorrow morning, so thank you again, and I'll be in touch with some of you real soon. Have a great day, you guys. Massive hot love vibrashe. Hugs. Kisses. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Peace out, my lovers.